Hello and welcome to Cultcast. I'm your host Velija, and we're joined on our third episode of exploring ethnicities by defne. So, first of all, would you like to give us a little introduction, maybe about like what your major is, what year you're in, just a little bit about yourself?
Okay, let me. I'm Defne, and I'm studying psychology at Bilkent University. This is my third year, and also in addition to that, I'm teaching and academical helping to younger students. They're mostly high school students.
Okay. That's like all Turkish.
Not only Turkish. At some point, I teach French to some people. Yeah,
That's really nice. Okay, I guess like meeting like with students and teaching them, like probably you were exposed to like I think you already were exposed to a lot of different backgrounds and like experiences,
Yeah.
but like I think always dealing with teenagers is different from that.
It's very interesting that I see them growing because
Yeah.
some of my students, I've been working with them like for 3 or 4 years,
Ooh.
and I really see them growing up. That's interesting.
That's nice. I like that you mentioned growing up because like now I want to ask you about how you grew up or how you maybe remember growing up. So you can talk about like your background first, by the way, like your ethnic background, because
Okay.
I realized we didn't.
Mine is a bit complicated.
That's okay.
My dad's part is completely Turkish, and some of them are actually racist. And like they're supporting the racist parties.
Yeah.
My mother's part is the mother of my mother is Arabic. She's from Mardin.
Okay.
And my of my father of my mother is from Erzurum, and he's Kurdish.
Okay.
So I was a mixture. I was a complete mixture, and it was interesting growing up in a household that holds three culture at the same time because you can see it in everything, like the food you eat, the languages they speak, the very different aspects they criticize important social events, and everything. You grow up with three different mindsets.
I wonder, like, because this was also one of my questions, because I know that you're like mixed of a mix. Was this something that you noticed growing up as a kid, or like was there a certain point, like maybe in like your teenage years or something, that you realized that there's three different ideologies sort of going around in your house?
The worst part is that since my childhood, very early childhood, I have always thought that we were completely Turkish because my mother was completely assimilated and she wasn't living her own culture. I was only exposed to my mother's real roots when I went to my grandmother's house. So in our own household, I wasn't exactly grew up knowing my roots
Like
and
ethnicity.
background. Yeah.
So what happened at like your grandmother's? How did you learn?
The funny thing is that I was always not only in our own house, but also while we are traveling with my family and stuff. I always told them that I miss my grandmother's dishes. They were always a lot more spicy, more hot, and like I was observing some differences, but I wasn't really sure what it was caused by. I mean, she's wearing a scarf, and my mother doesn't.
Okay.
These are some stereotypes, of course, but my grandmother is in love with gold. And like, it sounds funny, but like...
No, I understand. Like even for us, it's like that, like ultra religious maybe, or just like
also religiously, but not only religion part, but also the things they were taught.
Okay.
They were always exposed to some kind of stuff.
Okay.
And the sad part is that my grandmother was forced to be married at the age of 15.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say something like 14, 16. Yeah.
Yeah. She was forced to a marriage while she was 15. Yeah. And
Arranged marriage or forced? Because there can be a...
no, a forced marriage.
Okay.
She doesn't want to marry him, aka my
I'm
grandfather.
I'm guessing there was an age gap.
There's a huge age
Yeah.
gap. I think it was again 13 or 14. I mean, she married a guy half older than her, and she used to live in Mardin in her own house with her 10 sisters and brothers. Yeah, they were very crowded and like, I don't know, they used to care a lot about the family relationships and family bonds. Once her father passed away, they were not really in a great condition economically. So there's this thing in the Eastern culture. This is again a misconception and a stereotype.
Yeah.
But she was married to a guy to get some money.
Okay.
I mean, when they marry, her parents, the left ones, get the money from the marriage. It sounds awful, but
listen, to be honest, like we have some of the same stuff too, so I understand.
I really get traumatized again while talking this, but it was the reality of that time.
Even for a lot of cultures and like societies now, it still is. It still happens like that. Yeah.
In some parts of Turkey.
Yeah.
I mean, but the sad thing is that they only think that patriarchy and misogyny exist in the Eastern cultures. No, it also exists in Western cultures as well. This is again a very... This is the worst stereotype, I think.
I think like the same thing exists in different ways. Like there is still like marrying for money and stuff even happens in like Western cultures, or even people who are like rich. Like they do that. That happens a lot. So it sometimes stereotypes can be.
Yeah. And you know what? Despite the marriage stuff and like the overemphasis on sexuality and doing things before marriage, despite this stuff, in Kurdish culture, women is a lot more. They give a lot worth to women. They respect a lot. I mean, my grandfather's mom was the most respectful and the wise woman in the family, and even when she enters the room, everybody was standing up. Like it was a great respect that they, and also me, gave to her. So it's again a very misunderstood concept.
I think like if we're talking about like stereotypes and misunderstandings, because like I personally don't know a lot about Kurdish culture, so I don't know what kind of stereotypes. I have some insight, but I don't really know what kind of stereotypes are like go around about it. So maybe you could share some of those.
It's awful because like when when you say, "Hey, I'm Kurdish," even though I'm not fully, but
it's still a part of you. I mean, like most of like the guests that we've had.
The worst part is that they didn't grow me up. They didn't let me grow up with my culture. Because like it is considered to be not the best thing in Turkey. I mean, being
unsafe.
Not safe, not very well respected. So I wasn't very exposed to that culture.
So generally when you say like I'm Kurdish, like what kind of reaction or response or like assumptions do people make?
They say this is again they show you their racism under the mask. Like, oh, it's still okay. They say this. Oh my God, thank you for accepting me. And they say, okay, there are still some good Kurdish people. I mean, who are you to judge us, and who are you to be the one to accept Kurdish people? I mean, they think like they're saying, and they mention a good thing, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's like benevolent racism. It's a very, it comes under the mask. They cannot hide it.
Okay. When you were talking about your grandmother, you spoke a little bit about like things that they were exposed to. So like, what kind of like things or ideas were you thinking of?
I think before, by the start of the podcast, I'm always like talking about the harsh things about being Kurdish or Arabic.
I understand.
But it's great that, because I mean, we experienced this.
Of course.
Because,
like at first you remember the bad things, and then it's okay, I'll slowly come to the good things too. But it's nice to
still
flesh
there
it
are good things. I mean, their family bonds are a lot strong than compared to a Turkish family bonds structure, and it's always like you always know that there's their family. I mean, it's again, it might be the same in Turkish culture, but it's more crowded and warm, I think. When I think about my grandmother's household, it was the warmest and the cutest place. It was my comfort zone. For real,
nice.
And like, she herself had 10 siblings, which is a lot. And she gave birth to 3 children. And she always says that I could have done more. I wish I did more. And you always see both the respect and the love bond between the elder and the youngest. Not only the love, but also it's always like there's always a gathering, there's always something to celebrate, there's always a wedding, there's always a family event, and I grew up with so many cousins. They are still my closest friends, and it's like you grow up together, so there's nothing better than this. They were here at my 3-year self, and again here.
That's nice. That's really nice. But when we talk about like you mentioned like the way they grew up with religion and general like social or ideas, like what kind of
I didn't actually experience this with my grandfather, but my grandmother was a bit more religious. Again, that's the stereotype, but it was the thing in my grandmother's mind. She was always like, not for being a sexist. I didn't think that. I don't think that her purpose was being sexist, but because the way she grew up, she were always she was always more conservative, but not only conservation. It was more like you can see the difference she perceives women and men.
Okay, that's understandable. I think,
and I know that it's not because she was born sexist, but
it's the environment.
She was
happens. That's fine. You said that you didn't grow up like connected to your ethnicity, but like, can you remember like the moment that you realized that there are differences and that there is another side?
I realized it the first time that I went to Mardin. And I was like, oh my god, the food tastes again like food. And like the people, the way they act, the way they talk, were like my grandmothers. And even though I grew up in Ankara, Mardin feels a lot like home. And I always feel that homesickness, even though I'm in my own house.
No, it's more like sentiment and emotion. And attachment. I understand what you mean?
And also because of the political stuff, I don't want to go that deep into that. My grandmother wasn't allowed to talk her own language even in her house, and my grandfather wasn't allowed to talk his mother language in his own house. So three of my no I have one uncle and one aunt, yeah. They don't know their including my mom, they don't know their mother language. They can only speak Turkish, and it's
Can
not.
you?
Actually, I'm going to a Kurdish course.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
You're learning. So
Yeah, I'm learning.
What about Arabic?
I tried.
It's hard.
I tried. Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
I think I kinda learned most of the alphabet. Everybody says like the hardest part is the alphabet, but it's not.
No, I don't think so. Because like, for example, like I can read Arabic, but I don't understand it. Because
it's
we
the same
learn,
for me.
yeah, we learn it because of like the Quran. But like some people do go on to actually learn Arabic in Pakistan, but I didn't. I can just read the Quran with translation. That confuses some people that you guys just read Arabic without like anything.
And you know what? My grandmother cannot read and write in Arabic.
Okay.
But she is, of course, more fluent in Arabic compared to Turkish. And I think she wasn't even talking Turkish before her marriage.
Oh, she learned that.
No, not marriage. But like they were only speaking Turkish in the school.
Okay.
Which grade was she? I don't exactly remember the grade, but all of her siblings and she learned Turkish in school.
Oh, okay.
And they weren't even speaking Turkish in their own household. But now, after the marriage, because, I mean, in order to protect their children, they didn't teach them neither Arabic or Kurdish. That's awful.
Yeah, that feels really scary too, because like it's a question of survival.
Yeah.
You know, like you want to preserve your culture, but at the same time, like you have the fear of also like protecting.
And I mean, if you lose your language, you lose your culture.
That's true.
And my mother, my uncle, and my aunt cannot speak Kurdish and Arabic, so
yeah,
it's so sad.
Language, of course, it is a big connection, but so is food. I always talk about this. We can talk about that later. But we're still gonna like stay on like daily experiences and stuff. So when you were growing up, I guess maybe like with school or like coming to university and all, like because you didn't grow up with your ethnicity.
Yeah.
So once you actually like internalize it and realize this is what you are, then I'm assuming then you had some experiences with people that like showed like racism in it or showed like positive or negative experiences, and I'm assuming these still happen, so these are part of like daily experiences too.
Yes, exactly.
So maybe do you want to like share some of like the good or bad ones?
After I actually learned about my ethnicity and like learned all the harsh stuff about not being Turkish in Turkey, not being completely Turkish in Turkey, I kinda pushed that. Like I did research a lot, and I started to learn my mother language. And I tried to like do the things that my ancestors weren't able to. Not my ancestors, but my mother, uncle, and like even my grandmother and grandfather weren't able to do this as well, because they were exposed to this, and to stay alive, they applied this. But you know what? Somebody should like do something. So in order to break this karma's chain, I started to live according to my culture, not to the stereotypes, but to enhance the connection. The worst thing I experienced is they're mostly political.
Okay. You can go into that, by the way.
Can I?
Yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah. Before I knew about my ancestors and like my ethnicity, I was always celebrating the national bayrams and stuff. And like, that's the funniest thing. It's not even my culture.
Oh. Okay.
That really is the most ironic thing, and my mother still does actually. I mean, after a while, after I learned the reality, I stopped doing that.
Okay.
And even for not celebrating what's not my own culture, was criticized by most of the people because I use my Instagram and Twitter openly to public, and I was lynched a lot about most of my tweets and like posts on Instagram.
Okay, what kind of posts do you make, or like what do people do or say?
Lots of things.
Yeah. Can you remember anything right now?
They might be triggering. I mean, it might contain some triggering.
Okay, trigger warning for the next
trigger warning.
seconds.
Yeah, I was even threatened by that. So, and
yeah, what did you even say that they responded to this with?
I have a lawyer.
Okay.
And I sent the threats to my lawyer.
Yeah.
And if they publish them with their own names, not anonymously.
You can take action. Yeah, you can. That's a thing. Yeah.
That's not only the. I mean, we don't only face this in real life, but it also exists in social media as well.
Of course, yeah, it's gonna be worse on social media because there people tend to like hide behind the fact that it's not in person. But what did you say that caused them to give you threats like that? Do you remember? Like, what did
you asking what I've shared?
Yeah.
You know what? It was only the Jinjiyan Azadi post.
For people who don't know the translation.
For people who don't know that, it means women life freedom in Kurdish. And after Mahsa Amani's death, it was a Kurdish girl living in Iran. And she was killed by the mullah regime because she wasn't wearing her hijab correctly, properly. And after her death, after her murder, actually, the statement Jinjiyan Azadi become more popular, and it represents the international feminism, not only protecting the women rights from your culture and from your nationality, but also protecting and fighting for the rights for all women,
especially urban Asian. And that was it. And they said, okay. Damn. Can you think of a good experience if there is one?
About my ethnicity.
Maybe interacting with someone. I was generally gonna say like, with these good and unfortunately mostly bad experiences, can you remember like in that moment, like the younger Defne, like how these things influenced like her identity or how she thought of herself? Did you go more like I should hide what I say or like I should change this, or were you more like no, I'm gonna connect to my culture, or were you in between?
After the exact minute I learned about my culture and stuff, my ethnicity and everything, I immediately started to think like I should connect to my culture more because like it was the forbidden thing, even the language itself. They weren't even talking their mother language in their own household. That's the worst thing. So I think revolution starts in language. I don't know. It's a cliche statement, but it feels like if I start by learning my mother language, I can then start doing something for my culture and stuff.
And I think like in episode 2, like I sat with Selena and she mentioned like even though she's not fluent in her language and she doesn't even fully speak it, even knowing like basic words forms a very strong connection to your roots and your ancestors. So even that makes a really big difference. So yeah, language is very
I can even observe the difference between the times that I don't know any Kurdish words and I went to Mardin. And I now know basics of Kurdish. And the last time I went to Mardin, I was able to speak to people in my own language, and I cannot express my feelings. I mean, it was the best feeling because it wasn't only satisfying me, but it was also satisfying my younger self, the child, little Defne.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cute. Okay. So when you were growing up, like you didn't hear any stories or like they didn't tell you most things, or did they?
They didn't hide exactly, but they didn't show the effort to connect me to my culture. I kind of understand them because of the policies they were exposed to. But I wouldn't do the same for my children. I mean, I would do the exact opposite. That's why I'm trying to reconnect now.
So you can teach them better. That's really good. I think again, some of this stuff gets repetitive sometimes, but like in one of our classes, like we also talk about how like minority languages are dying out, and mostly like the next generations cannot really speak it as much as like the older generations, but that might be different in this case, you know?
I mean, if I have a child at some point, she will. Oh my God! I even assigned gender. I'm sorry, my future kiddo. He or she, anyways, will know her mother language. I promise.
Would you do it like our unnamed professor for now because she hasn't consented to this? For example, like she speaks Kurdish and English.
Yeah, like her. Yeah, exactly. That's why not only not the only reason, but I really admire her.
Because probably like she will learn Turkish when she goes to school. So like her, you know, because again, like growing up with a language is a completely different experience.
And it's a lot easier to learn a language in a younger age. I really have hard time learning Kurdish at this point because like for some sounds, also Arabic, for some sounds you have to be you need to the ability to
like the way you
make the sound
or something. That's the.
And it's hard.
It is. Because for a lot of languages, like it can be like your throat or like the base of your tongue or something. So if you can't do that,
both Arabic and Kurdish is like a very throat dependent language, and it takes time.
And I always do this at the end of the episodes, but like we know that like generally history and the way it's recorded is quite biased. So I guess my question is like, what is like maybe one or more than one, you can talk about it as much as you want, idea, perception or stereotype that people have about you that is completely wrong, that if it was up to you, you would like to change that?
Not only for me, but there's this again ironically racist thing. After I learned and figure out everything and like when we talk about ethnicities to other people, I used to say that I'm Turkish, but I'm not. I mean, I'm not fully Turkish. So I then started to explain it like deeply, and then they say, "Oh, you don't look Kurdish. You don't look Arabic. You look beautiful." They say, "Do you understand what I say?"
Oh, that's weird.
Their racism shows up even when they compliment.
Yes. Oh, like in episode 2, Selena also mentioned this. Like when she tells people that she's Arabic, they're like, "Oh, but you don't look Arabic. You're white."
I mean, it's awful. And they say, "No, this is not racism. You look beautiful."
Sometimes I've gotten that too. Okay. This might also be like kind of messed up on like maybe how I think, but like a lot of times, like sometimes Pakistanis here also have not been able to guess that I'm Pakistani because they'd ask like, "Where are you from?" And I'm like, "Pakistan." They're like, "Oh, you don't look Pakistani. You don't sound Pakistani." And I'm like, "Oh, like I don't look and sound. Damn, that must be a good thing." Because like general stereotypes of us are also not great. So in like in my first and second year, I was like, "Oh, maybe that's a good thing." But now now I'm confused about it, to be honest.
I totally understand you because like when you say Arabic, they I think have a perception like a fully covered woman with dark black hijab and like a very extremely religious woman perception. I don't know, they're interesting. Even their compliments are racist.
Yeah. Which, like, if you're telling someone, "Oh, but you don't look like that," that's not a compliment, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
I might take this part out, but like this one former, like not old friend, but like I used to be friends with this person. I'm not anymore. But this one time he said to me, like, "Khadija, if you weren't Pakistani, I'd date you." And I was like, "What the hell does that mean?"
Oh, what the hell?
That confused me a lot. I was like, "Huh? What's the connection?" This was here, by the way. This was in Beacon.
Can we talk?
This was a Turkish person.
Can we talk about this after the episode?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That was weird. But yeah, anyways, okay.
Oh, I experienced a similar thing.
Yeah.
One of the guys, I hate dating guys, I'm so sorry. When he saw my tattoo, which says Jinjian Azadi, he said, if you wouldn't own that tattoo, I would have been in love with you.
You know what? I'm gonna leave what I said in actually.
For real?
Do you want this to be in?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. What goes on in these people's heads when they say
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Can we talk about the good parts?
Yeah,
for real.
please.
Yeah, because despite everything, the thing I try to do and maintain is, even though I have some mistakes and I myself can even hold some stereotypes against my cultures, cultures plural, because I mean I wasn't raised the right way, that I think. I myself sometimes hold stereotypes, but the thing is that I try to change this with myself, and my future plans include my culture as well. When I finish Bilkent and when I'm done with the department, also I need to do the PhD and stuff, but anyways, after everything is done and I get the I don't know, when I'm allowed to open a clinic, and when I'm allowed to give therapy, I want to also focus on the therapy in mother language.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Thank you. And I don't actually observe many people doing this in our field, because like it is such a need that therapy goes on with the language itself, and most of the Kurdish and Arabic people doesn't have the access to therapy in their mother language, especially in Turkey.
I'm sure even if they did, like there would still be like problems of like getting through different like cultures, you know? Like they might even feel unsafe doing that.
Not only the language and the culture as well, the perception and everything. So after I'm done with everything, I plan to open my clinic in Mardin and do therapy in my own language.
That sounds lovely. I hope you can do that.
I hope so. And I'm trying my best for this. I mean, I think I have 4 years, and maybe by that time, I might be more fluent in Kurdish and Arabic as well.
Hopefully.
That's the plan. And the thing I would say to my younger self is that don't accept what you're exposed to, and do the thing you want to. That includes my culture as well. I mean, I talk about this with my mother as well, and she says, "You're crazy. Go. We pay you to study this much and go open your clinic in Mardin. I cannot believe you." She said this.
All plans need a little bit of like craziness and ambition.
I think
you need to be a little crazy to be able to do what you want.
Yeah.
That's the push.
Yeah,
crazy in a good way, hopefully. You answered that thing. What about like one advice for your future self?
For my future self?
Yeah. Like if you're struggling and you come back to this episode, what is the one thing you wanna?
Don't miss your Kurdish classes because of the midterms, girl.
Are you missing them right now?
I did that because of I had 2 midterms.
Yeah.
And like I wasn't able to go to the Kurdish class. But the thing is that even going to that Kurdish course makes me feel a lot better about myself and my ethnicity and the future plans as well.
Great. Okay, I'll ask you our last question.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, if it was up to you to create an image or collage of your ethnicity to visualize what it looks like, what are the 4 to 5 like objects or colors or food or things that you'd like to take for this?
This is the cutest question.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, let me. First of all, there's this. I will do this in a mixture, like both Arabic, Turkish, and
that's great.
Kurdish
of
culture.
course.
Yeah, because at some point, some part of me is Turkish as well. I mean, even though I don't like my father's part. Anyways, they still have some good like cultural stuff. Okay. Starting with Arabic, I would choose the color of gold.
Okay.
Because it's a very special thing, not only because of its economical value, but it's a special thing during the weddings. Thank you so much. And it reminds me of my grandmother as well. I would choose the color of gold.
Okay.
The exact yellow of gold. It also appears in Kurdish culture as well.
Oh, interesting. For us too, by the way.
For real?
Yeah.
We are very similar.
Yeah. I don't know why people think that they're just, nationalities and stuff can be different. Like, if you notice it, most Asian and like these like subcontinental cultures, we have so many similarities.
Because like
even our languages are borrowed.
Yeah. The way that they sound.
And also like Urdu takes from Arabic, Urdu takes from Persian, it takes from Turkish.
Yeah. I love Persian language as well. It's because borders are human-made. I mean, they weren't existing before somebody drew that. So, and for Kurdish culture, we have that Nevruz Bayram. It's the 21st of March. And it represents the celebration of spring. It's amazing. I hope I might be in Mardin in this Nevruz.
I hope so. That sounds lovely.
It's great. Everyone wears like flowery dresses. They set a fire. They do halay. They dance. I wasn't able to join that in Mardin before or Erzurum before. I joined them in Ankara, and even in Ankara's Nevruz, you can see the difference. It's not that lovely. I would choose the flowers of Nevruz. What did I say? Gold? Flowers of Nevruz.
Food?
I don't know the English word for that.
That's okay.
But the Arabic is irok. The Turkish version is içli köfte. They both have the fried. Who is they? we both have the. We both have the fried and the boiled version, and my grandmother is the master of that.
What is it made of?
It's made of meat, and it's covered with bulgur.
Oh, okay.
And it's very tasty and spicy.
Nice.
We use lots of spices. Actually, I tried to learn this from her, but I wasn't able to. It's very hard to make the covering. You know what? You do the covering first and fill it up with the stuffing, and then you should and you should close it very carefully in order it not to explode.
Wow.
Explode. Yeah. I would choose halai definitely because both in Arabic culture and Kurdish culture we have halai. They're kind of different, but I mean,
what are they?
Halai, you know halai? It's a cultural dance.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. In Arabic, in Arabic culture we have the dabke version of and I love it. Even though I couldn't perform it the way it was supposed to. And in Kurdish culture, we have lots of tons of versions of halay. And I don't know, I love weddings so much.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I wonder what are Kurdish weddings like?
It's it's very crowded.
Because for example, I know Turkish. Ours are also like big halls, lots of people, lots of food, like fancy like dresses.
I think it's more close to your culture maybe. Because compared to Turkish weddings, in one of our I don't know if we have a relation, but I don't know. I went to a wedding in Erzurum. And we were wearing a cultural dress called kiraz fistan. We were wearing golden belts. And it was the best wedding I've ever joined. There were lots of foods. The wedding lasted for so many hours, and we didn't even sit for a minute. We were always halaying. And compared to Turkish weddings again, the music is also very different. It's more appropriate for halay. And we have davul zurna. Their instruments. The drums and I don't know the zurna. And what else? The weddings are like a lot more both visually and audio based.
I can kind of picture it. I think it sounds similar to like the way ours are as well.
It might be. And everyone is supposed to wear that cultural dresses. Also, men does this as well. I don't know the exact name the dress men wears, but they're also dressed up in a certain way. But it's not like this in a Turkish culture because like you can wear.
I've seen it's more westernized. I think like coats, like suits and dresses. Is there anything else you want to add?
There are very cute buildings in Mardin. They're short and they're made of sand actually, and they look like little cubes. So their top is flat. And my grandmother and lots of my relatives used to sleep in one of those. They call it dam in Turkish. And the last time I went to Mardin, I had the opportunity to sleep in dam. It was again not only satisfying my being right now, but it also made my inner child happy and connected as well. Cute. I would also add them as well.
That's really nice. I think I remember like going to like my maternal grandparents because they lived in like the village. They were like farmers and stuff. So I remember like I think we also have a version of this because I remember seeing that too.
Our cultures are very similar.
Okay. With that, I think.
Are we done?
I think so. Is there anything else?
No, it was. It's great that someone is doing this. Thank you.
I really, really wanted to myself. But so for the people listening, if you guys want to follow for updates or if you have any other requests for things that you want us to do, or maybe if you yourself want to be a guest on the podcast, follow us on Instagram. Where like our username is @cultbilkent. And thank you for listening.